The after-school programs in Oklahoma called Whiz Kids. Under-resourced children are being sent from public schools to churches to get indoctrinated. Please help make this not happen anymore. I don't know what Whiz Kids is. Apparently, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's an after-school program that they have set up, I guess, by law, saying that they don't have. Okay, so their public schools in Oklahoma, I'm going to assume, are not very good. That may be just a bias on my part. But then they're saying, oh, well, these schools aren't working for kids. They're not educating them, so might as well send them to church where they'll do better. Again, I always try not to dip too much into my personal political beliefs, even though I do sometimes. But I think that this is definitely kind of an insidious side effect of underfunding education. I mean, when there's no standards by which you set like what constitutes a proper education for a kid, churches are always waiting in the wings to just jump in and say, we'll do it for you. And by the way, you know, as part of your education, okay, Timmy, 2 + 2 is 4. Austin is the capital of Texas, and grapes are instant poison that will kill you when you eat them. Take your pick. That sounds like a terrible idea, but you already knew that, I'm sure.
Grapes are poisonous, toxic to some extent to dogs. I found that out recently. I never knew that.
Okay.
Grapes and raisins. But yeah, I'm not that familiar with Whiz Kids. It sounds like it's just, it's like after school religion that they cart kids off to. If, you know, my guess would be it's with parental permission so they can get around it being compulsory. Mm-hmm. If not, if they're just doing that with every kid, then that's a serious church-state separation issue, and I would definitely get the ACLU or the Freedom from Religion Foundation involved with that, because that's all right. That's no-go.
Possibly against my better judgment, I'm going to just go to their page and read their propaganda self-description, and then maybe I'm going to pull back and try to find a news story about it. We're Whiz Kids Oklahoma. For over 22 years, we provided mentors, friends, and role models for under-resourced children in Oklahoma City and have helped them learn to read. Churches all, okay, and here's a link to, Whiz Kids couldn't happen without the support of our partners in the community, churches, businesses, and schools. Although the headline that led me here was, churches all over OKC are hosting Whiz Kids each week. But then when I go to the actual story, they say churches and businesses and schools. So try to drag in other groups, but it sounds like they're definitely first and foremost a church organization. So that's the pro-Whiz Kids stuff. Okay, and I'm doing live web searches on the air is not great. So
yeah, if we had you on the phone, we could have you tell us more about it, and we could maybe talk about it more intelligently. But
yeah, there's like just pages and pages of propaganda here. So it's yeah.
Sounds like it could be a constitutional issue depending on how it's structured. But you know, churches have gotten really good at figuring out what they can do and what they can't do, and skirting the law so that they can still indoctrinate.
And to be clear, I mean, churches are welcome to teach kids to read with their own resources. I mean, I think teaching kids to read and teaching kids to do math would almost certainly be doing whatever else they'd normally be doing in their church. But the issue comes in when this comes under the banner of this is what, you know, this is your education now. This is what we're going to support with your tax dollars, because that's basically unconstitutional for us.
And, you know, after school mentoring and tutoring is a good thing, but they always combine that with a side order of Jesus, and that's kind of where I start to object. It's, you know, it's one thing to teach a kid to read, but you know, to use that as an avenue to proselytize children, you know, I start to object to that. Now, if their parents want them to get proselytized, then you get into that, you know, parental rights.
Yeah, actually.
But if it's publicly funded, you know, they need to keep those things separate, I think.